What's up, everybody? Welcome to your weekly coach. We are joined by a very special guest. Her name is Ruby Slippers. She's very interested. She's actually not. She's looking outside. She's much more interested in that. She's also in my shot, so that kind of makes it kind of awkward, but maybe I'll get a little closer. Ruby, you're killing me! Anyway, we are out running errands, and I get my best ideas when I'm on the go, when I'm running errands, when I'm walking, when I'm working out, whatever it is, when I'm in motion. And so my thought for you today, my thought for you this week is, what story are you fighting for? And what I mean is, it's come up a lot lately, and I've been thinking about like my life, past, present, future, and I've been thinking about how we so oftentimes fight for the things that we don't actually want. We fight for the things because we think it's not fair. We fight for validation, but we don't fight for the things we actually want. Like, who do you want to be? How do you want to show up in your life? So what's true for you? If you stop and you are really honest and real and true and vulnerable with yourself and with me, what story do you tell often? And what pisses you off? Like, what are you fighting for? And is that story that you're fighting for something that helps you? Is this something that like perpetuates more goodness? Is this something that when you think of yourself, when you express yourself in the like highest, most vibrant and present and fulfilled form that you possibly could, does it resonate with that? Like that story you tell yourself, do you tell yourself stories of like how things worked, how you figured things out? Or are they stories of like how things were fair, how the struggle is real, about how you're a victim, about how people do things to you, about how it'll never be enough? Like, are you positively focused, or are you a little bit more negative? Like, what's the story you tell yourself? And I wanted to share this because I remember, since I was pretty young, I remember my friends would say in like elementary and middle school even, and be like, God, Lacy, you're so positive. And it didn't come from a place, like my positivity never came up from a place of like being naive or innocent or silly or like inexperienced. Like at that point in time, I'd been through a lot. Like I'd been through stuff health-wise. I'd been through stuff with my family. I'd lost people. Like I had been through things. But what I realized is that I grew up surrounded by personal development and self-help. So I actually had tools unbeknownst to me that other people generally outside of like growing up with parents that took me to like dream circles and drum circles and listen to Tony Robbins and Wayne Dyer and Deepak Chopra and Carolyn Mace and Brian Tracy on like audiobooks, like those audiobooks that like snap opened and closed and they had cassette tapes. I'm definitely dating myself right now. But that's what I grew up listening to. And I didn't read books for escape. I read books that like taught me more about how to understand myself, because I just thought how freaking fascinating and weird it is that we like land on this planet and we're just like making it up as we go. And we are, right? Like it's like such a cool thing that we get to do, that we get to make it up as we go along, but like such a freaking weird thing too. So Ruby Slippers, let me tell you some things about Ruby. When Ruby's over it and she wants to do something else, tell him, Ruby, go ahead. We'll wait. Yeah, that's what I thought. Story of my life, you guys. Story of my life. Anyway, now that Ruby had her words, maybe let's hope they were positive. Maybe the story she's telling is positive. You know, maybe she feels like she should be living into the higher part of herself that's running on the beach right now, not listening to her mother talk. I think she's just trying to shut me up, you guys. It's ridiculous. Anyway, so I grew up in a way that a lot of kids didn't. And I don't say in a way that like it makes me special. I just think it's freaking awesome that I learned young. And I did. I learned young. And fortunately I did, because I went through a crap ton of stuff that I then used all of this personal and this personal development, self-help stuff to like actually get me through it, to actually survive, to actually have the mental stamina and the emotional capacity to process and to understand and to go through really, really freaking hard things in my life. There goes Ruby again. And so I've now dedicated my life. I spend my life trying to learn more, trying to understand people, and trying to help other people move into a place where we live more fully into our own power. We live more fully into who we are. That we stop and recognize that we can tell a story. You can tell a story about how crappy it is, about how unfair it was, about how everyone did you wrong, or you could tell the story about how life happened. You went through some crap stuff. Your circumstances weren't fair, and it wasn't great. But you know what? You realize that you had choice. And when you have choice, you have everything you need. When you have choice, nothing can stop you. Nothing could stop you. There's no circumstance that could stop you. That's when you're powerful. That's when you're unbeatable. When you understand the power of your choice, when you decide to fight for what you want, not for the validation of what you've been through or of the validation of how unfair it was, but rather to take maybe the crap and make it something better, to say that wasn't fair, but I'm going to make my life something better for other people. I'm going to share in a different way. Like, that's the stuff. So, what story are you telling yourself? Does it behoove you? And if not, your homework this week is to work on telling a better story. And to do that, of course, if you've told a story to yourself for years, it's hard to figure that out. So I'm going to give you some prompts. So pay attention to what you think in your head, just day to day, like driving along, walking along, whatever. Pay attention to whether it's positive or negative. So kind of like set a trigger for that. And then also pay attention when you talk to people, maybe you get home, you tell your family about your day, or you're talking to your colleagues or your coworkers or your friends. Like, what stories are you telling? And are they one of joy and fun? Are they kind of magnetizing? Are they, maybe the week wasn't great. I don't expect you to have an amazing week always, but are they real and honest and true and vulnerable? Like, that's valuable. And if they're crummy, like, how can you make it something that empowers you rather than disempowering you? If it's crummy and you got to tell the crummy part of it, and I get it, I do too, is there a cap you can put on it? Is there like, you know what? This thing happened for me, for me is a better way to think of it, right? Because if you say something happened for me, that means you have a tool to make it something better, even if it was not that great, right? You have a tool to learn from it. Like, there's lessons everywhere, and if we could just understand that life isn't out to get us, they're just opportunities for us to engage differently, for us to understand ourselves in a different way, for us to understand that maybe a friend that we thought was a friend isn't really a great friend, for us to understand we like to spend time with these people, not those people, to understand that that maybe our life shouldn't be fully comprised of work, that it turns out that maybe, if you're not happy at your job or you're feeling undervalued, like, what do you want to be doing? Use it as a push. So if you hear this in your head, if you're like, weird, I have this dialogue, this constant dialogue of, well, there he goes, or like, oh, of course, this work thing, whatever, or your kids or your spouse or whatever, use it as an opportunity to stop yourself and let it be a trigger of being like, oh, interesting, what do I want then? Like, because if it's something that makes me feel crummy, it makes me mad, it's not something I want. What do I want? And then if it's something you need to articulate to somebody, use your voice. Use your voice. We have a voice. Be kind. If someone says something that makes you feel like crap, use these words. I use this in my emotional intelligence training I learned in college. When you say, insert thing you say here, I feel, insert your emotion. When you say that you don't have time for me, I feel like you don't want me around. Is that true? Something like that, right? Like that's like a little prompt. I don't know what your scenario is, but whatever it is, use that as a prompt. So, what story? Oh, Ruby is so over it, you guys. She's trying to be patient. So, number 1, what story are you telling yourself? Is it positive? Is it negative? Does it behoove you? Does it help you? And if not, start writing a better story. Start telling a better story. And to start telling that better story, to kind of know where you're at, know your baseline, you got to kind of pay attention to what you're doing day to day. Is it positive? Is it negative? What do you need? When it's negative, why is it negative? Do you feel disempowered? Did you not speak up for yourself? Like, what is that? Start rewriting that dialogue so that you can start moving into greater areas of happiness and of fulfillment. If you got to write stuff down, like the reoccurring things that come up, write them down throughout your day. Take a note in your phone. Make a voice memo. Come back to it later and be like, when I really think that through, these things happen, these things come up because I realize I'm not speaking up for myself. Or I realize that that I've got this crappy negative self-talk, so when other people say things, I like internalize it myself and think it's about me. I just do. And then you've got someplace to go, right? Like, okay, now I know what's going on. What's actually true, right? Because we're all incredible people. We all are just good people, and we're all just trying to figure it out. We're all just trying to move along in our journeys in our lives. So what is true? Well, I feel that makes me feel bad because it's inconsistent with who I actually am. I am smart. I am worthy of spending time with. I do belong. I am important. I deserve to be seen and heard. And that's why that feels crummy. That's a way different story. Way different story than simply stopping at the point where you feel crappy or you feel hurt or sad and then just letting the sit there. Make it something. Take an additional step. Think it through a little bit more. Do that this week. Try it out. Try it out. Think about what story you're telling. Pair that with your dialogue, the stories that you tell throughout the week, the stories you tell yourself, that you tell other people. Write them down and watch the reoccurring themes that you have, both positive and negative. And then, with the negative ones, work to rewrite that story. All right? All right. This is your weekly coach. Whew. That was a good one, wasn't it? Yow! All right, we gotta go. Ruby's done with this. We'll see you next week. Thank you for listening. Thank you for the honor of sharing life with you and journeying through it with you. If you have any questions, you have an idea for a topic, you're going through something, shoot me a message. I would love to record something for you and include it in a future video or blog or something like that. All right, get to it. Write your story. What's your story? Tell me. All right, see you next week. Bye.